Robinette will be a moderator tonight. Candidates, are we missing someone?
Yeah.
Okay. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, 2 minutes posing, and about a minute and a half for each question. Okay? Who wants to
And
start?
we are filming this, so we will put it so people that aren't here tonight can have access to it. So if that's okay with everyone, then that's what we'll do.
Okay. Who wants to begin?
I will.
Okay.
My name is Jody Bodway. I live over 239th Avenue in Gambit Trail. I have 2 boys, 7th and 3rd grader, seated here. I work for the city of Phoenix, where I'm a police officer. I've been with Phoenix for 7 years. Prior to that, I was in a suburb of Minneapolis for about 8 years as a reserve sergeant. I was also in the military as a military police officer for about 9 years.
Thank you.
My name is Matt Varitek. I live in Desert Oasis on Wittmann Trail. My wife and I do not have kids in the school, but we volunteer our time. We are active within the community. I figured this is the way that I can give back to the school and help it be the best that it can be.
My name is Jimmy Welch. I'm currently on the board as the president of the governing board. I've lived in Wittmann for my entire life. I'm a native of Arizona. I went to Nadaburg School as a child, and so did my wife. We have 4 boys. One is in college, one is in high school, and the other 2 go to Desert Oasis. And I really enjoy being on the board.
Thank you. Are you ready to begin? The first question I have, and these came through our website from parents, teachers, etc. So these aren't from me. The first question we have is, what prompted you to run for board candidate? What was the attraction or need for improvements do you see? And what strengths do you believe you would bring to the board? Yep, we'll start with you.
Well, I went to a couple of the board meetings where they were talking about the budget issues. And when I lived in Minnesota, I was involved in the PTA there. And I went to some of the board meetings, and they were just very organized. And everybody got along, school board with the administration. I always saw the administration giving them like an agenda of what's gonna happen, an outline prior, a couple days prior. And when I was at these board meetings, it looked very unorganized. And I just felt I could offer some help with that. I've been in a lot of leadership positions, a lot of leadership training, and I think I could help with the organization of that. And also, it looks like there's a lot of animosity and just between the school district and the school board. And it seemed like every time I was at a meeting, it always ended up with people arguing, which I don't think is part of it.
If I could piggyback on that point, I agree with you, Jody. I'd like to see all board members put kids first at all times. I personally place a great value on the education that I received in public school all the way from kindergarten up through my bachelor's degree at Illinois State. I'm proud to do the work that I do. I'm an actuary, as some of you know. I'm trying to be the first actuary to win a popularity contest. I enjoy reading. I've had the chance to write a little bit, and I believe that the passion for education and willingness to focus on putting the kids first and making sure that all of us, from the board to the school leadership, to administration, to the teachers, to the students, all being on the same page and working together is going to provide the best environment we can give kids.
Well, I agree that the board does not always get along. But we live in a very unique community. We have a lot of newcomers who live here, and we have a lot of people who've lived here for a very long time, and they don't always see eye to eye. I try, when I run the meetings, to give everyone a voice and let them speak, even if I disagree with what they're saying. I think they have the right to say what they want to say. But I do ask the board members to reel it in once in a while when I think they're getting off topic.
The next question I have is, how how would you respond to business interests and community who've been outspoken in their criticisms of Nadaburg Unified School District and the school board?
Can you repeat that one?
How do you respond to business interests in the community who have been outspoken in their criticisms of Nadaburg Unified School District and the school board?
To start. You want us to
We'll just
always
keep
start the
going,
same way?
Unless you want us, let's start with Matt.
I think more important than responding to them first is to listen to them and make sure that their concerns are heard. I think a lot of times frustration comes from the public, is coming from people who don't feel like they're being heard. That said, I think the best we can do as board members is to be as transparent as we can, make sure that the people who are being critical of the board come to the meetings and that their criticisms are based on facts. And again, ensuring if the board is working towards making sure that the kids have the best learning environment that they can, and that the communication between the teachers, the superintendent, and the principals, and the board is all above board, clear, honest, then the criticism from the public ought to be muted.
Thank you.
Well, I would, and I have asked them to become more involved in the school. The first 13 months that I was on the board, not a single person stood up and spoke to the board at a public meeting. Nobody. Then one person got up and spoke, and then nobody spoke for 3 more months after that. So, but I've always encouraged people to come to the meetings, to become involved, to join site councils, to join the PTA, to speak to administration, to speak to the teachers, rather than sit back and criticize, to find out why we do the things we do. Because if you don't already know, most of what we do is driven by the legislature. Most of what we do sometimes seems like just a formality, and sometimes that angers people because they don't understand why it is that we do the things we do.
Thank you.
I would agree that you just gotta get more of the parents involved. The couple of board meetings I was at, a lot of the parents were just getting up and yelling, and when they were asked for a solution, nobody would ever have a solution. And they were angry because of 200 days, or because this might get cut. But like I say, when you ask them for their input, they wouldn't have input. Some did, but the majority of them wouldn't have any input. And I just, I want to become more involved and figure out how the school board operates. And like Jimmy was saying, it's driven by the legislature. I'm not aware of that. I'm not 100% sure how that works here. And I don't think a lot of the parents are. Maybe put a flyer out, put something else saying this is what we have to do, this is how we have to work it. Sometimes our hands are tied. Maybe some parents would understand that then.
Because you brought up the 200 days, I'm gonna kind of skip down to that one. They want to know, what is your position on the current 200 days schedule for school?
Okay.
We'll start with
You want me to
Jimmy.
start? Okay. I voted for it. I support it. I think there's nothing bad that can come from having children go to school 20 extra days per year. I think it helps families because that's 20 less days that they have to find somebody in the summer to watch their kids. It's 20 more days that kids are learning and involved in the community and not wandering the streets. I can't see any reason that it's not good for kids, and that's what it's all about, what's good for kids.
I like the 200 days. I just like some people saying that, well, we got this 180th day, now we're gonna move to 200 so the kids are better. But yet, we have all these problems with the 180 days. They're coming up with all this list of all the problems with the 180 day school year. Well, how about we fix the 180 day? And then if we wanna add those 20 extra days so it's more effective, instead of just, I keep hearing, well, you don't have to worry about your kids running the street, don't have to worry about all this. Well, how about let's focus on making it a better educational opportunity instead of just packing them in here for extra 20 days. If we're gonna make it the best thing we can for that 200 days, great. If not, then it should be back at 180. So.
I was at the meeting where they voted for the 200 days. I was glad to see it pass.
contracts and become better educated on before I feel like I answered that. See how much latitude there already is, see what they're looking for. I believe in union rights, association rights. I think it's needed. But before I can fully answer that, I think I'd have to read it over, become better educated on it.
I agree with Jody, I fully support union rights. I think that members of the union have the same right as anybody else to seek the best compensation package, the best benefits, and the best working conditions they can get. There should be open and honest negotiations that, again, put kids first and try to keep from disruptive strikes, walkouts, lockouts, all kinds of negative influences on the environment that really end up hurting the kids. But I fully understand why they should have the chance to see what they can get.
Well, I have always voted in support of the Nadaburg Education Association. I have always supported them in their collective bargaining. Unfortunately, their membership is dwindling, and I'm not even sure that they're going to be an effective force next year, as small as they're getting. But I support them, I always have, and I've always taken their recommendations seriously when they come to the board, and I have always voted in their favor.
This to you then. How would you balance your decisions as a member of the board with input of parents and teachers at each site in regard to instruction?
Well, instruction is overseen primarily by the school administration. I do believe the board members should listen to what parents have to say. I would encourage parents who have concerns about the curriculum or any particular teacher's methods to work through the chain of command and make sure that their concerns are resolved by the people who are on the ground first. Our role as board members is not so much to oversee day-to-day policy implementation as it is to set a broader direction and see the bigger picture that a parent is often concerned with. Again, as long as we keep channels of communication open, I think there's definitely a need for parents' input to be included.
Would you read the question again?
I can. How would you balance your decisions as a member of the board with input of parents and teachers at each site in regards to instruction? Each site in each school?
Yeah. Well, going back to my previous statement that this is a very unique community, I understand that the parents who send their children to each school have different perspectives on how we should be doing things. But ultimately, I agree, as Matt said, it's up to administration and the recommendations of the site councils at each site and the NEA as to how they're going to teach. And I think I've always been supportive of sort of standardization between the two schools, that if we're teaching something at one school, it should be offered at the other school. Whether or not children and parents, take advantage of those opportunities is a different story. But as long as it's there and the kids have the opportunity.
I agree that, I believe that's more of an administration to oversee. Maybe the council can, or the governing board can give final approval if that's all the procedure works on it. But that's something more that the administration should be, and the teachers and the associations and the parent, the PTSA, everybody should be working together on that, and the site councils.
Nadaburg Unified School District has been suffering a balanced budget. What would you do to bring an increase in monies for NUSD and have a balanced budget?
That's a hard question because a lot of that is out of our control. Our budget is dependent upon the kids who come to our school, the number of kids, and how much the state gives us for each child. It's also dependent upon the taxes that we reap from the district, and with home prices falling and taxes not being as much as they were, we really have had a budget crisis. I think the way to solve it is to offer better education at our schools and to be, a pillar in the community so that people want to send their kids to our school instead of sending them out of the district. I'm not really sure how many kids we have going out of our district, but I personally know of quite a few that are going to other schools. And just drawing those kids back by offering things like 200 days of education, K2 ungraded, and our pseudo high school program, I think are things that people will look at and say they're trying to do what's right. They're offering things that other schools don't offer. And we've been working hard. We went from a D school district to a B school district. People pay attention to that kind of stuff, and they seek out good schools to send their children to. So I think the key is getting enrollment up.
I would agree that you just gotta find a way to lure the kids back, be it interacting with the parents in community events, or sponsoring an event, something in the local newspapers, or just somehow getting the word out there that went from a D district to a B district, what the school district offers, what's the right answer. I'm not sure. I think you just gotta sometimes start trying things and see what works. Try to do some inexpensive things and see what works, and bring the kids and the parents back to the school.
We do want to build a school district that the entire community can be proud of. We have too many kids living within our boundaries that are choosing to go to charter schools or around the nearby public schools. We need to ensure that we understand why these kids aren't going to our schools, demonstrate that we've taken some corrective action. The district has improved by leaps and bounds. If the district's funding can be consistent over the coming years, then we can keep the programs that make the school strong. We can continue to do the kinds of things like the 200-day here, the Move On Ready program that are market differentiators between surrounding districts that maybe don't have the flexibility that we do. And if we build it back up.
Thank you. And I have one final question, start with you. Are you in favor of the upcoming budget override? Why or why not? And if we do not get the override, what type of cuts would you have to make?
I am in favor of it. It's my understanding of it, it's more of a maintenance issue. It's just continuing the current taxes that are in place. It's not raising taxes. So it's not gonna have a negative impact on anybody's pocketbook. It's already there. If it didn't pass and there was something to be cut, well, I wouldn't even know. I'd have to sit down and look it over and see what's all being offered. What's gonna hurt the least, because at that point, something's gonna hurt. So,
I'm in favor of the override. In fact, I've written a short essay in support of the override that I hope to have the chance to distribute to voters, independent of whether or not I would like to see the override pass. There are crucial programs that the school can't really be perceived as being strong school without it. The cuts, as we look at other school districts that face similar challenges, they cut programs like physical education, art, music. These subjects offer an opportunity for kids to explore what it is that's special about them. It would be a terrible shame to see us lose these programs. And I hope that the voters will respond to the override and make sure that this funding can be consistent and we can continue to build on the success that we've had in recent years. And ultimately, our investment in that override will be returned many times over as the school gets a better reputation, the property values will be assisted in their rebound.
I'm in favor of the override. This community has never voted against an override until the last election, and I believe that was a direct result of an error that the state made in the tax rate, and they tried to recoup their losses that they inadvertently didn't tax us for the 2 years prior. But for the rest of the question, that's really a trick question. I wouldn't cut anything. I would take the recommendation of the administration and the collective bargaining team as to what budget they decided upon.
Thank you. The other two questions that I did have, you guys already answered in your opening statement. So we'll go ahead and take your closing statements now, 2 minutes for that. And we will start with.
I thank you all for coming out. I hope you've had the chance to get to know me a little better, and I'll be available to everyone throughout the weeks leading up to the election and beyond the election. Again, I will do whatever I can to make the school be the best it can be, regardless of whether or not I'm on board. I can promise you that this role as a board member requires a lot of homework that I'm willing to do. As I've done with the actuarial plans, I have 3 hours every 6 months to use spend buried in those textbooks, and I'd be happy to spend them out in the school.
I think my record speaks for itself. I'm committed to this district. I'm committed to the staff of this district and the students of this district. I've always supported the NEA. I've always supported the decisions of the site councils. And I'm in favor of the override. I don't really have much more to add.
I just think that from the few governing board that I've been to, I think it's time for some new members, some new people, new ideas, fresh ideas, and that we need to find some better solutions to these problems. If it's increasing enrollment, making tough decisions, whatever it might be, I think it's time to start doing that instead of just keep letting it linger and linger. And because the board and the district and everybody's always at each other, it's going to just keep affecting the kids. There needs to be unity, and everybody needs to get along and make it just work for the kids instead of worrying about everybody's ego.